Hey, what's going on, everyone?
Yo.
This is the Average Sports Guys podcast. I'm your host, Eddie.
This is Marcus.
I'm Adam.
And we are joined by a good friend of ours, Mr. Mario from the Zoned In podcast. What's going on, man?
Let's go.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Pleasure to be on again.
Yeah, man, yeah. So, before we get into what we're going to talk about, so this is episode 70. And today we're going to do the AFC East. Last week we did the NFC East.
Yep.
And this week we're going to do the AFC East, which is why we wanted to have Mario on, because he is a Dolphins fan. So for those of you who don't know, the AFC East comprises of the Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, and the Jets. So let's start with prediction winners. Adam, we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to win? And then we'll get into why after.
Oh, I got to go with the Bills, man.
Bills. All right, Mario, who you got?
I also have the Bills, but I got them via tiebreaker.
Via tiebreaker. Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay.
And we'll get into that in a minute. Marcus, who you got?
I was going to go Bills myself.
Am I the only one picking the Jets? No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. I'm going Bills too. Adam and I were talking about this at work a little bit earlier today.
Right.
To me, it's the Bills all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Mario, explain the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so I think the Bills last year jumped out on a lot of people. They didn't expect the Josh Allen jump that kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So teams will be a little more prepared for it. And I think, there'll be a little regression, right? A lot of their guys that they kind of outperformed their norms, right? Like a Jerry Hughes
Mm-hmm.
and those cats on the defense kind of outperformed their usual year. I think they'll have more of a normal year, especially now that they're, a year older.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll still be very good, obviously, but they'll kind of regress to the mean a little bit.
True. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue that. Adam, why are you picking the Bills?
I just don't feel like the other teams have done enough to catch up quite yet, right? I think the Pats, they got Mac Jones, they re-signed Cam, but and actually, I mean, they spent a lot of money. It's a very uncharacteristic offseason for the Pats, but I don't know that I trust that offense enough quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins, I mean, Mario, you made a great point. Yeah, Josh Allen had that big jump. But I could see Tua doing something similar, but the Bills got Diggs, right? And that, I think that was a huge part of that jump. And I'm not sure that I can say that the Dolphins have got anyone of that caliber yet to really help Tua take that next step. And the Jets, I just feel like they're at the start of a rebuild. I don't think this is the year where they'll find success. I think this is just a developmental year, and I hope that they bring those new guys on well, right? And hope that they can like Zach Wilson can actually do something and won't just get torched by just being thrown in there too quick.
Yeah. So I'll say to that, I think you're right. Yeah. To me, Patriots, even with all that they did, I don't think they have enough to beat the Bills. Hell, I see the Dolphins coming in second place. I don't even see the Patriots. I mean, third by proxy, because I think the Jets are pretty much just going to hope to establish their identity. I mean, clearly Robert Saleh is going to come out in all the press conferences and say, yeah, we're going to make a push. We believe, because that's what every team is going to say. But yeah, they got a lot of new people from the head coach on down. So I think they got to find their identity. And I think that'll be this year. And then as far as like the Dolphins, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see Tua really having a good year. I mean, he has to, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a first year, like full year for his, like off-season development, all that type of stuff. I mean, as far as Adam, you mentioned Diggs. I'm sure, Mario, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are hoping that Jalen Waddle becomes that,
right?
Sort of a Diggs-esque type of receiver that really kind of bails Tua out. Now, I shouldn't say bails him out, but they become a good tandem.
Right.
Yeah, I think you can look at the success that they had in Alabama and kind of hope they replicate that,
Mm-hmm.
on the NFL level. One of the advantages that the Dolphins have is that Waddle isn't going to be asked to be the number one receiver right away, right? So Devontae Parker's still there. He's a really good wide receiver, not elite by any means, but he's made a Pro Bowl and had a couple good seasons under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will Fuller is another guy that can really stretch the field.
Mm-hmm.
Had his best season last year, so he got hit with the PED suspension.
Oh, right, yeah.
So Waddle is actually going to be your third or maybe even fourth option, depending on where you're at in the field, because you still have Mike Gesicki, who's all of 6'6" and 230 pounds, who's really more of a wide receiver than he is a tight end anyway.
Yeah, you can't sleep on that, man.
Yeah. And Marcus, why are you picking the Bills?
I'm picking the Bills just because of their defense, more so than the offense, and I'll get to the offense in a second. Like, you got guys like Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White, like Trayvon Edmonds, Ed Oliver. Like, you have studs at every position. There are no holes.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally just have to, like, just steady the ship and maintain and continue to be as hellacious as they have been within the past season or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do think that Josh Allen's going to have a little bit of a regression from that 4,500-yard season, just because if you think about the Patriots, they're getting a lot of their defensive players back, right?
Yeah.
Dolphins don't have a defense to really shake a stick at. Like, you can't ignore them at all. Eric Rowe from us. You guys have Emmanuel Ogbah. Who else? Justin Coleman's out there, Byron Jones. Like, your defense is pretty solid as well, and they're really quick. So I think there's going to be a little bit of a regression there, but also leaning back more towards the Bills' offense. You still got, like we already talked about, Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Devin Singletary at running back was a problem. Cole Beasley, yes, he's a year older, but he can still separate. Mm-hmm. So these are all guys that you still have to worry about, and they have Emmanuel Sanders. So it's one of those situations where it's kind of like, well, on offense for the Bills, I mean, if you have all those guys covered, you still have to worry about Josh Allen running. This dude is tall and a beast, and he can take hits. He doesn't care. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough task to try to stop the Bills next season. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins, like you said, in number 2, they somehow surprise us and end up splitting within the division with the Bills. But I definitely think it's Bills 1, Dolphins 2, Jets obviously dead last with Zach Wilson and just him coming into the league. And then the Patriots, like you said, 3rd by default.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the Bills, the reason why I'm going to go with the Bills is pretty much what Marcus was talking about. I think they have the most complete team.
Right.
Now, I don't know that Allen is going to regress. I think because of his ability to run the ball
mm-hmm.
and throw on the move, things of that nature, I think, he will be fine. Mm-hmm. You do worry about the Cole Beasleys. It is another year.
Right.
Yes, he was maybe able to create separation and be effective last year. Does he hit the wall this year? We don't know. Mm-hmm. But again, from their defensive side of the ball,
studs.
Yeah, I mean, they're just super stout. As you get later into the season and it gets colder and teams have to go up to Buffalo and play a la Washington, our last game, it's just not going to be fun. You know what I mean? So I think they have that advantage there for sure. I think the Josh Allen and Diggs connection is going to continue to grow.
Solid. They're
only going to get more and more comfortable with each other. So, yeah, I mean, if barring injury, you know what I mean?
They're solid.
And I mean, we could say that for every team, right? But seriously, like barring injury, they, to me, are the class of the division. Like I said, the Dolphins, and Mario, is not just because you're on, but the Dolphins for sure. I mean,
they got a shot.
We said it last year too. Like I looked for their defense to be good. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mario, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you guys damn near have or could potentially have the best or one of the best secondaries in the league.
Oh, for sure.
Not to honk my homer horn.
No.
But, go ahead, please.
I do think it's the best secondary in football, right? So They're one of maybe 2 or 3 teams that have 2 lockdown corners.
Right.
It's arguably a crime that Xavier Howard didn't win Defensive Player of the Year last year, and he's the first corner in 10 years to have 10-plus picks in a season. Byron Jones locked down.
Mm-hmm.
Noah Mbanagne was a first-round pick and couldn't even get on the field because of those two guys when they were healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dolphins went and drafted Jalen Phillips, who a lot of people believe could be, a potential defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, he was ranked or rated as like the best edge rusher in the draft.
Right.
And then you got Ogba, who had a really outstanding season last year. They traded for McKenzie out of Houston, who was a Pro Bowler, not last year, but the year before. And Flores is a defensive-minded coach.
Right.
So the defense is going to be really stout, but it's all about the secondary over there. They really like to mix their coverage, and they really like to put 4 defensive backs on the field, not necessarily 2 corners and 2 safeties.
Okay.
So their safeties do a lot of man-to-man coverage on tight ends.
Yeah.
And their corners are almost always on islands, and they don't rely on one-on-one pass rushers to win at the line. They rely on numbers, right? So we're going to bring more than you can block.
Oh, right.
And hopefully they hold the fort on the outside, and we don't get burned deep or whatever.
Yeah, it almost seems like what Philly used to do years ago. They would always send more than you could block.
Classic Jim Johnson defense.
Yep. All right, so couple questions here, guys, and Marcus, we'll start with you.
For sure.
So one of the questions is, how will each team improve? And so what I mean by that, right, is just some things that I wrote down is like year 2 for Tua, as far as Miami.
Right.
New England loaded up on weapons.
Right.
So how does that help them? And is Cam done? You know what I mean? Or is he able to effectively get the ball to those playmakers? Jets, all new look. I kind of mentioned that earlier, from the head coach on down to the quarterback and some other key positions. And then the Bills, will they look any different bringing back most of the same cast? So just kind of overall, just maybe quick hits on how you think each team will improve, or will they regress?
I think the Patriots are going to improve on the defensive side of the ball just because the acquisition of Matt Judon and then Jalen Mills at safety.
Yeah,
I think those are huge upgrades on that side of the ball to complement Kyle Van Noy and guys back there. As far as Cam Newton, hopefully their scheme is to get the ball out of his hands quickly or run the ball more, because they still have guys like Sonny Michel and what's that other running back they have? I can't think of it right now.
They got
Damian Harris.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. So like you have guys like that. So hopefully they lean on the run a little bit more. As far as the Bills, I'm waiting to see what happens trade wise, because there's a lot of rumors out there about them, making a play for either Julio Jones or even our Zach Ertz. They've been communicating with Philly. So if they get a stud tight end to complement that offense, that's a little bit more than most teams can handle on that side of the ball. As far as the Jets, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, their defenses, they got a couple of guys in Quinnen Williams and CJ Mosley. I think this is more of a feel it out year for Zach Wilson. I mean, his college stats was 73% completion percentage, like almost 4K in yards and 33 touchdowns. But you also got to think about the speed of the NFL, the speed of the game, and does he adjust, right? So I'll be looking more to that offense and see if they get a little bit more consistency. We'll see what happens there. As far as the Dolphins, I think Tua takes the next step, right? I think he gets full command of that offense. He's a little bit more efficient, a little bit higher than 64%. And I think he goes for way more than 1,800 yards next season. So I'm looking more towards that offensive side.
Yeah. So I would say, as far as Tua, yeah, I mean, you would think, right, there's no Fitzpatrick to, come in, take you out, go in, go out. So I think it's all on him, sink or swim. So, yeah, I mean, I'm putting him maybe around that, 25 to 2,800 yard thing. So, Mario, what is your take on each team improving? Do they improve? Do they regress? Do they kind of stay the same?
Yeah, so I have Buffalo at 12-5. Outstanding season, right? They're already a really good team. They're not as long in the tooth as maybe we'd like for them to be, except for at some key positions are really good all across the board, great coaching staff,
Right.
and they do have like that quote unquote home field advantage. Nobody's trying to go to Buffalo that last month of the season, right?
Yeah.
They're like the only team, you know, as far north as they are, you know, with an outdoor stadium.
Right.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But they're really good. Josh Allen will be good. But I think, like I said, they won't creep on teams this year like they did last year. I also have Miami at 12-5 though.
Okay.
I think Tua makes the jump. The offense is a Tua offense this year. Right. Chan Gailey was Ryan Fitzpatrick's guy, you know, at two other spots before even Miami. And we got more Tua-like receivers, right? Guys that can create separation at the line, shorter, faster guys. They love throwing them slants on those RPOs. And the defense is still going to be pretty stout, right? Miami had the number one defense going into the last week of the season. And it took a 30-point route for them to drop to like the number 2 or 3 defense at the end of the year. So those are those two squads. New England, what scares me about them is you can kind of see Cam Newton's arm like just die after like week 7 or 8 of the season. Like he had no zip on the ball.
No.
Right? And that they might be okay with that. That might be around the time they're going to try to integrate Mac Jones. But the tight ends are great, right? They're getting a lot of their defensive stars back. So I expect the defense to be, you know, a traditional New England defense. Their running backs, the ones that they have, are always banged up. That's a little scary for me for a team that's going to rely on the run as much as I think that they will. And then they really have no outside threat. Their two best wide receivers are Nelson Aguilar and N'Keal Harry. Nelson Aguilar had a breakout year in Las Vegas last year, but I'm not really going to bet the horse on that or bet the house on that. And then N'Keal Harry really hasn't shown us anything yet. So I have them somewhere around the 8 win, you know, between 7 and 9 win area. The Jets, I really like what they did in the draft, right? I think Wilson was a good pick. Don't sleep on Elijah Moore, right? Super speedy slot receiver. And Michael Carter, the running back, another good guy. Going forward. But a lot of their really good pieces are year 1, year 2 guys. And in the NFL, you just don't win with those guys very often. So I think they'll take the lumps. They'll probably be around 5 wins, but kind of trending in the right direction. Well, they might creep up on a team and get a sneaky win here or there. But the overall talent on the roster is just far beneath what the rest of the division is bringing.
Yep. All right, Adam, how about you?
Yeah, so I think the Jets are already the most improved team, just because Adam Gase is such a mess. He's just such trash that they could have no head coach, right? As long as they get rid of him, they are far and away the most improved team in the NFL, arguably. But yeah, no, I don't see them being a whole lot better at this point, and it's a figure it out year. Yeah, I even looking at kind of their acquisitions and stuff, like. Yeah, Wilson, I think, was a good pick, but look at their receiving room, and it's just a bunch of guys who were fighting to be the number 2 receiver elsewhere, right? So I'm not too excited about their offensive prospects. But yeah, like I said, I think Saleh is a guy who will get the right culture in there, and I think that's where you need to start from. Eddie, like you and I as Washington fans, like we've seen the impact firsthand of what having a good culture can do for your team. So yeah, I think they'll improve by leaps and bounds in that regard. But in terms of their product on the field, I'm not super excited. With the Pats, so yeah, Mario, you made a great point about them not really having that many receivers, right? But then they did pick up Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. And I'm getting shades of that OG Pats offense where they're not really looking to run it through their receivers. It's going to go through their tight ends. It's going to be going through athletic tight ends with hands, right? So it's going to come down to either is Cam's shoulder going to hold up or will Mac Jones be able to pick up the offense quick enough? And I think he will be able to. I think he's the right kind of quarterback for that system, right? It's just about making your reads and putting the ball where it needs to be. And I mean, defensively, I think they're going to be way better just as they're getting all their guys back, right? They're getting Hightower back, who's like one of the best linebackers in the league. That's the quarterback of their defense, and he wasn't playing.
For sure.
With the Dolphins, I think they'll get better. I think they look like they'll get better. But yeah, it's going to come down to Tua, right? Like how quickly will he pick up this new offense,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I don't think he did a great job of it or had the easiest time of it in his rookie year. But hopefully, having been in the NFL for a bit, it'll be a bit easier for him to pick up the next one. And the Bills, man, I think a key signing to maybe look at there is Matt Breida. Like they didn't. I thought one of their running backs last season was gonna like take the position and make it their own, and neither of them really did that. And now we're putting in another guy. I mean, he's a home run threat, right? So it'll just be curious. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can actually like take that position and make it their own this upcoming season. But yeah, I don't know how much better they got. If anything, they might have gotten a little bit worse since they've been having a bunch of talk about the vaccine and whether or not they want to get it and all that. Cole Beasley's been saying some wild stuff on Twitter. So yeah, I'm not super sure about where the Bills are going to wind up in terms of being better, but they were already really good last season, right?
For sure. I mean, you got to look out for that rap career from Cole Beasley, right? You know, he's got to keep them bars.
Here we
go. So I'll start with the Bills, right?
Okay.
I don't think they'll regress. I think they're gonna kind of be what they were last year.
Right.
Mario made a point earlier in the show where he said, they're not gonna surprise teams or sneak up on teams. They got a whole season of footage now to go back and really game plan and scheme. So I think they will run into some hurdles that they necessarily didn't last year. But I still think they're going to be a tough out one way or the other.
Facts.
Now, as far as the Dolphins, that offense to me is going to go as Tua goes. And I mean, we could say that with almost any offense, but this one in particular, because as Mario stated earlier, it was a whole different feel and system and fit for that. But not only that, like I said, when you have Fitzpatrick, yes, he is a great veteran and knowledgeable and he's helpful in all those things. But if you're a young rookie and you're being helped by this guy, and then all of a sudden now you guys are splitting time, part of that is in your head that you got to like look over your shoulder. So you may be pressing at times to be perfect on this throw or this play or this or that, because if I screw this up, is this guy going to come in? Now he doesn't have that, right? So barring injury, he should be the starter for all 17 games. It sounds weird to say 17 games, but for all 17 games. And if they tailor it, like Mario was saying, to what he does and what he does well, I think he'll only get more and more comfortable. I think the speed of the game he should be fine with. But yeah, it's going to be that quick hit, like off the line, create separation, get the ball in those guys' hands and let them go to work. So I think they'll be much improved on offense. Their defense, I think they're going to be lights out again. I think they're going to give a lot of teams trouble.
Right.
So if their offense can do their job and get up early on teams, I could see it being smooth sailing for the Dolphins. Now, as far as the Jets' identity, I mean, I said it earlier.
There you go.
I think that's just what this year's going to be, right? You're just going to be throwing shit at a wall and you're going to see what sticks, right? But to Adam's point, Robert Saleh, he's a fiery guy, right?
Yes,
so
he is.
For anybody who's seen him when he was a defensive coordinator in San Francisco, that dude, like, he is
nuts.
A ball of energy, right?
Yeah.
If I can have half of the energy he has, I would be way more productive at work. I think
that.
What's that, Mario?
The stadium runs. That dude, the stadium runs before the game.
Yeah,
right.
Like he's running up and down the steps at the stadium.
Yeah,
for 30 minutes before the game. It's ridiculous.
Yep. 2 scoops of pre-workout, no water.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
He's the gym teacher, in high school football that pads up with the rest of the team and starts laying out running backs and everybody in between.
Doing Oklahoma drills. This is how it's done. But yeah, so I think that team is not going to quit. The way he operates, he is going to have them engaged, locked in the whole entire game. So to me, year one, you get these, especially all them young players they have, you get them to buy in the system. If these motherfuckers will run through a brick wall for you, you got them, right?
Facts.
Right.
And because you see some other teams, especially with some veteran guys, once they start losing, you lose the locker room.
Right.
I don't think you're going to see that with the Jets. So again, identity, and then they'll figure it out as they go.
Yeah.
And then New England, I like the tight ends, right? If you go back to Carolina when Cam was really good too, who was his tight end?
Olsen.
Right. And so if his arm, as Mario and Adam said earlier, if his arm can hold up and he can get that ball above their kneecaps, not throw it in the dirt, I think he'll be serviceable. I would fully expect Belichick and company, with them having spent the time that they've spent looking at Mac Jones and how he can fit their offense, they, in my opinion, got him to have him start at some point this year. So as long as he is picking things up and doing things the Patriot way, and Belichick is liking what he's doing, I think that week 6 to week 8, you're going to see that transition. So I can't remember if it was Adam or Mario who said it earlier. Maybe they're okay with that because that was their game plan to get Jones going. But yeah, I mean, Adam said it earlier. The old New England way. I mean, you would see Tom Brady just kill you with tight ends, dink and dunk you all the way down the field, sprinkle in a little run game, and then pop you over the top once or twice. You know what I mean? Cam's not throwing a deep ball like that.
Not at all.
But the philosophy that Belichick and company ran years ago, they can still do that. They have 2 great tight ends. So, I mean, we'll see. Aguilar, it's cold now back in New England, just like kind of Philadelphia. Those hands might get a little tight. Yeah, I can see him dropping babies again.
Babies, man.
But he does have like that speed that you mentioned, right? To take the top off the defense. He'll be
second step, it's over.
Right. Well, and so that's the thing. So I mean, decoy, he can clear things out.
Yep.
You know, especially up like seam routes for your tight ends, things of that nature. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll be more improved offensively, because last year they were just it just was bad. It was horrible to watch. Defense, yes, they're getting pieces back, and they brought in some other pieces, you know, Matt Judon, etc. But I think they should be a more complete team
for sure.
Mario, I believe it was you that said it, that like 7-8-ish win range, I think is fair.
Yeah, I think another hurdle that they might the tight end thing, going with their theme of how they win and do things over there, aligns perfectly with Belichick and his style. But we can't forget that they lost Thuney in free agency, who's the all-pro guard.
Right. That's right.
And when you look at the defensive tackles in that division, just in the division, you're talking Ed Oliver, you're talking Quentin Williams, you're talking Raekwon Davis. These guys, eat up, guards and centers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner down there. So it'll be interesting how they adjust to that as far as getting up the middle, because that's kind of like their bread and butter is, hey, just hold the fort for 2 seconds. So we can get this ball out of his hands real quick. But if it's the guy that's directly in front of you applying the pressure, that might be a problem.
For sure.
Yep. All right. Yeah, so, I mean, I think you made great points there, Mario, for sure.
For sure.
Like I said, it's cool now talking about, divisional winners, this and that. I mean, clearly final rosters aren't set, right? But, I mean, the bulk of these players that we're talking about and the identities of these teams, it's going to be the same. And if you think about it, I think we're, 100 days or so away from playing the Chargers as far as Washington football team. So just to you can smell football, you know what I mean? And it's just good to see, OTAs, things of those, things of that nature.
Yep.
Pretty soon they'll have the mandatory workouts, and then before you know it, it'll be camp. And, then Marcus and I'll get excited because then we get to watch Hard Knocks.
Let's go.
So For those of you, if this is your first time listening to the show, Marcus and I, we go nuts for Hard Knocks, and then we talk about it every week on the show. So it should be fun. Adam, you'll have to watch it.
Facts.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, okay.
I already do.
Yeah, there you go. See?
That's
Perfect
my
fit.
thing.
There you go.
Perfect fit. Like I said, I wish the Eagles could be on there. So
that
we
would
could
be a
see,
great
so
show.
we could see the drama unfold.
The RPS, which, undrafted free agents have a screw loose like they usually highlight every season on Hard Knocks.
Yep.
I think it would be a good go.
Yeah, man, for sure. But all right, Mario, it was great having you on, man. We really appreciate it. Thank you for helping us out with the AFC East episode.
Man, as always, it's a pleasure being on. Shout out to my other brothers over at Zoned In Podcast. I'm sure they're gonna be lightweight jelly because they ain't on.
Yeah. Well, they're in luck. Minus Keith because we did the NFC East last week, and then we had a different guy on with the Cowboys. But
right.
I mean, we'll find a way to get Keith on. But
sure.
Hey, there's room for Dane Fame when we do the NFC West, and then obviously with Greg and his Raiders. I almost said Oakland, but the Vegas Raiders. That's just weird. But yeah, we can definitely get them guys on if their schedules allow it. I know with the time zone. So for those that don't know, Zoned In Podcast, they're based in California.
Let's go.
So it's a 3-hour time difference. So again, Mario, we really appreciate you hopping on. You can bill Marcus directly. He'll pay you for your time.
For sure.
For sure.
All right, brother. It was good talking to you. We'll catch up with you.
All right, fellas. Y'all take it easy.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So, again, that was Mario from the Zoned In Podcast. If you guys have not checked out their show, go ahead and do that. You can get them anywhere you get your podcast. Again, Zoned In Podcast. You can find them on Instagram. They are on Twitter now, and they dabble in YouTube. So,
let's go.
Again, be sure to check them out. But, yeah, this was episode 70. It was fun, guys. I'm Eddie.
Marcus.
I'm Adam.
Again, this is the Average Sports Guys. So be sure to head over to our website, averagesportsguys.com. We're on all the social medias, the links to our podcast, to our videos that are on YouTube. All that stuff's on the website. You guys can reach out to us. You have questions, we'll try to get them answered and fit them in. But until next time, we are out of here.
Peace.